Hey, Bruce Naylor here, your boomer consumer. And is owning vinyl records, collecting vinyl records, is it pointless? Is it absolutely pointless? Well, according to Katie Edwards, the writer for The Independent in the UK, it is. And I wanted to make this rebuttal video to this article. It's gotten a lot of attention out in the press, and I just wanted to share my opinions with you by taking her arguments and giving another point of view to this. And I would definitely enjoy seeing your comments down below when it comes to collecting vinyl. You could probably even make some of the same case for CDs, I don't know, but vinyl in particular. Let's get with her first point, and that is, and I've got some notes down here, that records are fragile and unreliable because of scratches and jumps. Well, Katie, first, just about so many different things are fragile. Your cell phone is fragile. Your television set is fragile. Your glassware is fragile. So many things are fragile. That does not make them unreliable. It just simply means that you need to take care of what you have. Vinyl records are no different. As far as scratches and jumps, you got to take care of these things. Learning how to handle an album carefully so you keep it clean, you don't get it scratched up, making sure your equipment, your stylus isn't worn out, etc., is all part of it. You should know this walking into the game. These are the rules. This is how you have to do it if you want. But if you take care of, you keep your records clean, you use your equipment's in good condition, and you take care, these things are going to last maybe even a lifetime or more. So I'm just not going with that argument. Scratches and jumps, again, if you're reckless with these things, yes, you're going to get scratched. Learn how to handle them properly. Jumps, well, unless you got your turntable on a wooden floor and you're dancing around, jumps are generally not a problem if your equipment's set up right and you've got a good record. That's really not an issue. Her second point, they take up too much space. Well, art, albums are a form of art. The music inside is art. The album cover artwork. Yes, this is what it is. They do take up space. You should, again, know this going into collecting and purchasing vinyl. Of course it's going to take up space. But I've seen collections of all kinds of stuff. My father was an antique clock nut. The whole house was littered with them. But those things brought him joy. And that's what we humans want to do, is we want to surround ourselves with things that give us joy. If it takes up space, great. We're trying to fill that space with something that makes us happy. Next, she says that a third of her dining room is taken up with her husband's vinyl collection. Well, put him somewhere else, Katie, or have him put him somewhere else. Or maybe that brings him joy, to see his collection, to see the artwork, to see what he has worked to accomplish over the years. Again, this is, I think, a moot point. It could be a collection of clocks or teapots or whatever it is people collect. They take up space, all right? If he's got it in the dining room, if he's happy there, you're not, then that's more of a marital issue than anything to do with vinyl. Her next point, can't hear a difference between streaming and vinyl except for hiss and crackle. Okay, Katie, at one point in time, I would have more agreed with that to a very small degree. But listen, this album here, I got it as a Blue Note. What is it? Donald Byrd, Places and Spaces, recorded on 180 gram vinyl, analog masters. This sounds fantastic. And I could definitely tell a difference between vinyl and digital. There's a certain warmth to vinyl that simply is lacking in a lot of digital recordings. That doesn't mean I don't love my CDs. God, I do love my CDs. But there is a warmth to it. Some people call it pleasant sounding distortion. We're not going to go there into this, but there is a difference in the sound. Sometimes digital will sound better than vinyl, and sometimes vinyl will sound better than digital. But there is a difference. But again, going off of an analog master, a good quality LP, good quality cartridge, the whole bit, you're going to hear a difference. Most people, I think, would hear some kind of difference. Her next point, that collecting vinyl appeals to older people. Well, again, if you start actually reading and researching, what record store owners are saying is the bulk of their customers are much younger. They're discovering vinyl. They're discovering the joy of actually owning and having the music and the artwork and the liner notes and the thrill of the hunt for classic records and the pride of ownership. They're discovering that streaming isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Okay, the next point I think is a very easy one. Her collection can't be damaged. It's portable and it takes up no space and collects no dust. Wow. Katie, you don't have a collection. What you are is renting music. Don't believe me? Don't pay the subscription bill, and it all goes away. Fairy dust. You don't own a collection, okay? And as far as it not taking up any space, of course not. It's electrons, but you have nothing. You own nothing with subscription services. So that's really not a fair argument. You can't rent a house and say it's your house when it actually belongs to the landlord, no more than you can say that that's your collection. What it is a list of music that you want to listen to as long as you pay your subscription each month. Her next point is she can create her custom playlists, and she can have her mood music and a list for workouts and a list for hiking, etc. You know, Katie, you can, with the right equipment and time, you can digitize the tracks off these albums and organize them into playlists, etc. on your phone and take them right with you. That's really not a point in my opinion. Her next point, no embarrassing collection of music for others to see. What? I mean, my mom collected teapots. She wasn't embarrassed for them to be out. My dad collected clocks, and other people collect classic cars and artwork and etc. There's no reason these people aren't embarrassed by their collection. If this is the music you enjoy and it embarrasses you, I don't get that. It's what you enjoy, all right? If you're embarrassed about it, don't, believe me, I just don't get that one. I'm sorry. You're embarrassed by your music collection. You want people to see it, so therefore you don't own it. You'd rather rent it and have it in the cloud. That's a personal matter, but I'm proud of my music collection. Look, I know a guy who's a very serious business executive, drinks cognac, smokes cigars, etc., but his musical tastes are hip hop and rap. You would never guess it looking at this guy. That you would think remember the TV show Frasier? He was more one of those type of guys. You think, oh God, opera. No, hip hop and rap. That's what he listens to. So don't judge a book by a cover. And he is not embarrassed whatsoever. Not a bit. He'll talk to you about hip hop all day long if you let him. And finally, and maybe a bit on the snobby side, doesn't like people parading their vinyl collections at dinner parties. Now, in all fairness, I've only been to maybe a couple actual, quote, dinner parties in my entire 62 years of life. I've been to a lot of parties, don't get me wrong, lots of parties, but formal dinner parties, just a few. And no one ever pulled out their collection of anything and talked about it endlessly and bored all the guests to death with it. If your husband, I'm guessing, is doing that, tell them to stop it. Knock it off. If your guests are interested and they see it and they want to talk about it, then fine. That's just bad hosting, really. That's all that is. Look, at the end of the day, these are all, I think, just arguments that took like no time for her to come up with, maybe even fill an article to make a deadline. I don't think a lot of thought was put into this at all. But maybe some of these points seem valid to you. And in that case, I'd like to get your opinion on that. So I just thought I'd share that with you. And by the way, happy New Year to all of you. May you have a joyous and prosperous 2022. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.